Hey, welcome back Twitch and YouTube as well. This is the first reading of the year. Wow. The year started weirdly, but I'm excited. What are your goals for 2026? Tell me in the chat. It has been a very, very strange start to the year. Welcome, everybody. TikTok is going strong. Yay. So yeah, welcome in. Happy not so new year. And yeah, what are you hoping to achieve this year? It has been strange for me so far. Yes, we need to get Mia her service dog. We need to... Yes, SB, I'm back. We need to get Moss over to California. We need to get their car back, which is going to be quite a bit of fundraising. We need to get Mia her service dog. I need to find myself a new job because of a certain fishy. Yeah, we've got a lot to do this year, and a lot of it requires community to stick together and say, hey, you know what, we're actually gonna do what our profiles says we say we believe in, you know, that kind of thing. Yes, absolutely. And ooh, thank you to Justin for the 15 on the pal of pays. Thank you so much. That means maths. That is 75. Okay. Yee, thank you. So, we are here reading. Our usual Tuesday readings are about race. Why I am no longer talking to white people about race by Reni Eddo-Lodge. And if you weren't here for the readings towards the end of last year, chapters 1 to 3, she went over the system of structural racism, the explaining what is white privilege, and going over the history of white supremacy in the UK. And it's a lot to cover. So if you want to catch up, you're more than welcome to go to the YouTube and Twitch links in my bio. And welcome back, Hagwad. Yeah, you're welcome to go to those links, and the readings are all up there, so you can follow along. But today, for the first reading of the year, we start on chapter 4. And this is a conversation that we've been having for quite some time in South Africa. The white fear that black and brown people will take over. The whole idea of the great replacement. That white people will be replaced by black and brown people the world over. And usurp their quote-unquote hard-earned power. It was not hard-earned. It was, yeah. We were genocided. Yeah. You know, it's wild that white South Africans believe that they will be replaced by the indigenous people of this country. It is wild work. So we begin. In 1968, the late conservative politician Enoch Powell told a rapt audience in a speech about the ills of immigration. in this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man. Now, this is interesting because I always say that white supremacists and white supremacy as a delusion has always had this kind of vibe to it that has no imagination. They cannot imagine a world where there is equality. So their fear is the great replacement. Their fear is quote unquote reverse racism or reverse apartheid or whatever they say that we will do to them, because they cannot imagine a world of equality. They cannot imagine a world where there is non-dominance and non-violence, not just between races, but between any group. So they see feminism as women's supremacy. They see anti-racism as black supremacy. They see anti-capitalism as worker supremacy. And it's like, wait, you're telling me that you can only imagine a world where there is a supremacist and a subjugated. That is what you're saying. So when Powell said the black man will have the whip hand over the white man, he was imagining reverse slavery. Yes, that is a part of it, Chris. Equality feels like oppression to the oppressor. Because once you no longer have privilege, once you're no longer the default, it's like, oh, I'm being oppressed. But it's more than that. It is this idea that there has to be a ruling power rather than equity and equality. They have so little imagination. And I always say colonizers have very little imagination. Dutch people came over here, and when there were beautiful local names for the rivers and for the mountains that existed here, they named a river Crocodile River. They named another one Kliprivier, which means Stone River. Very little imagination. Inadvertently, he revealed his own tacit recognition of racist power relations in the country at the time. And although he didn't explicitly say it, because he knew what side he was on, Powell clearly thought that a power transfer in race relations would lead to white British people facing the mistreatment and systemic barriers that black people were working to overcome. Inadvertently, they're always admitting the truth underneath everything they say. They're always admitting, hey, we are doing this. We are subjugating people, but we don't want to say it out loud. So we'll say these things in roundabout ways. There's a reason why he said whip hand over rather than using the less symbolic phrasing, advantage over. Whip conjures images of beatings, misery, and forced labor, of subjugation and total dominance, of slavery. Enoch Powell's speech has consistently been earmarked as one of the most racist speeches in British history, but his language was only as racially charged as Britain's relationship with blackness and has historically been. The only way he could envision power being maintained in Britain was by subjugation of people. Because that is how Britain has held and maintained its power in the past, and continues to do so, I would say. Just FYI, the UK has resumed sales of arms to Israel. The projection of an ever-encroaching black doomsday, what I call the fear of the black planet, is a fear that the alienated other will take over. Powell's fields of a flipped script have lived on in modern-day political rhetoric on immigration. When, in the run-up to the 2015 general election, the Labour Party released official merchandise which included a mug that read, "Controls on Immigration," they played into that fear. The Labour Party, the supposedly, left. I know. It's massive. Some insist that we are living on a tiny island and it's time to shut the doors. There is worry that the ever-disappearing essence of Britishness... What essence of Britishness? Please tell me. What is the essence of Britishness? Beans on toast? Racism? Colonialism? Cultural appropriation? Seasoning food with thoughts and prayers? Kiki, you and I are on the same page here. Oh yeah, SB, absolutely. Eugenics, imperialism, brown sauce, and the patriarchy. Thank you so much, Chris. Boiled potatoes, yeah. All of those things. The essence of Britishness? I am so sorry. The essence of Britishness is so bland that there's a reason that your national food is vindaloo. And the best restaurant that you have in all of England is an Indian one. Yes, Kiki, uppies. I am also streaming on YouTube and Twitch.
I want to say real quick, and Goji just came to say hello.
Hello, Goji.
I'm so fucking proud of you for being back on the app. I'm so fucking proud of you for the courage to stand back up. I'm so proud of you because you know what? They are going to constantly try over and over and over to tear you down. And fuck that shit. Your roots are as deep as the olive trees in Palestine. Do not let them. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. And I'm proud of you too.
Comrades for life.
Yes. Hey, I don't take this off for a reason.
Exactly. Exactly. And to everyone in the chat, share this out to the people who you know fucked up. Because they still have reparations to pay. They still have reparations to pay.
Thank you so much, my love.
I'm talking about a certain false redhead who still has fucking... I'm done being polite!
You missed it earlier when I was talking about a certain fishy.
Fucked up harder than everyone else. There's one person who fucked up harder than anyone else, and she still owes her apology to Nikita. There has not even been a spoken apology, and that needs to happen. So if you have the ability to do that, you give her this fucking live, and you tell her she owes at the very least an apology.
But I've been doing these readings for almost 5 years now. And well, actually, around about this time, 5 years ago I started, yeah. Nobody's going to stop me from trying to...
Fuck, Israel tried to stop you, and you know what? Fuck them too.
Yeah. So a little fishy with an awkward fin on the internet is not going to stop me from carrying on doing the good work. Nothing has stopped me yet.
Yep. Good job, Mandy. I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate every single one of you that is in here. There's 13 of you. Keep tapping the live. Keep sharing it. This is important work. This is important work because we saw racism at work.
Yeah.
And we're currently seeing racism at work right now. Keith Porter would still be alive. So this is important work. Get this out to the people who need to fucking hear it. And then you fucking tape them to a chair. You put almost Clockwork Orange style with the eyes open. No, you do that with their fucking ears. You force them to listen.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I'm done watching my people fucking die.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the white supremacy at work.
It is. And this,
Yes.
this is exactly what we're talking about here. The work of white supremacy.
Exactly. Exactly. And what happened to us was white supremacy at work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will never, ever, 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 ever let you deal with this shit alone.
Thank
I
you.
would fight the devil for you. The Balrog will never leave Khazad-dûm. As long as I am with you, I will stand between you and the devil.
Same here. You know
I
that.
love you.
I love you too.
Alright, put me back in the comments and continue your reading. This is the good work.
'Tis indeed. Love you.
Hey.
I think that was necessary because when we talk about these topics, people say we're educating. Oh, we're educating on TikTok. We're educating here. We're educating there. I do think I need to accept my flowers that I've been doing this for 5 years and been doing the podcast for 4 years. And I've not, yes, I've skipped days, sometimes weeks at a time, but I have not stopped. I may have slowed down every now and then, but I haven't stopped. So this is just a continuation of what I promised to do when I started on this app. So thank you for being here, all of you. So Britishness being eroded by immigration, that is a rhetoric that we constantly see. It's a rhetoric that we see from mostly Europeans saying, oh, but it's not that we don't like these people. It's that we don't want the essence of what it means to be German or Austrian or Swedish or whatever the case may be completely stripped away. Like, bitch, please. If what it meant to be Swedish didn't evolve over time, they would still be killing their elderly. Because the elderly were a burden to them. They would still be killing the elderly. Fair enough. They didn't take the COVID precautions when they could, and 11% of their elderly people died within the first month in 2020 when all other countries were locked down. So maybe they still don't care about their elderly. I feel like the essence of Britain is the pee in a public swimming pool. I am screenshotting that. Because yes. There's a worry that the ever disappearing essence of Britishness is being slowly eroded by immigrants whose sole interest is not to flee from war or poverty, but to destroy the social fabric of the country. No, bitches. The West keeps on destabilizing our countries, keeps on stealing our resources and maintaining war. So no, don't make it all about you and your want for everything to be centered on Britishness or Westernness or whatever the case may be. Nobody wants to destabilize your life. Our countries are at war. Our countries are burning because of the West. So when people say, oh, it's not to flee, you just want to destabilize us. No, we really couldn't care less about you. We don't want to destabilize your life, Sandra. We want fucking reparations. And we want our land back. We want our resources back. So we don't care about the social fabric of Britain. The social fabric of Britain was made in China. The fear takes on many guises. We hear it in the form of concerns about immigration, touted by political parties in recent general elections. We hear it in the form of preserving national identity. At the core of this fear is the belief that anything that doesn't represent white homogeneity exists only to erase it. And this is where every accusation or fear is a confession. They want to preserve national identity because they didn't let us do it. They want to maintain white homogeneity and thinks that everything else exists only to replace it because that's what they did to us. Social fabric of Britain is itchy and has the tag that rubs. Yes, abso-fucking-lutely. The fear is that multiculturalism is the start of a slippery slope towards the destruction of Western civilization. I argue that there is no Western civilization. The West is not civilized. The West are the most uncivilized people on this planet. And yes, we want whatever it poses itself to be destroyed. So yeah, you got that right. Because it requires the subjugation of my people. It seemed borderline paranoid when UKIP's Nigel Farage expressed a nervousness at hearing fellow passengers speak different languages in his train carriage. Such a fragile little man. In a 2014 speech, he said, "The fact is that in scores of our cities and market towns, this country, in a short space of time, has frankly become unrecognizable." Good. Whether it is the impact on local schools and hospitals, whether it is the fact that many parts of England you don't hear English spoken anymore, this is not the kind of community we want to leave our children and grandchildren. Our being white, of course. Because, nobody else can actually be British, apparently. Decades after Powell's speech, the fear of a black planet has in no way subsided. The word multiculturalism has become a proxy for a ton of British anxieties about immigration, race, difference, crime, and danger. It's a dirty word, a front word for fears about black and brown and foreign people posing a danger to white Brits. If you are an immigrant, even if you're second or third generation, it's personal. You are multiculturalism. People who are scared of multiculturalism are scared of you. And in the spirit of 1980s-style political blackness, immigration concerns are less about who is black and more about who isn't British. Thank you. In campaign literature for the referendum on Britain's membership of the EU, the Vote Leave campaign wrote that there are 475,000 live births to mothers from other EU countries. Between 2005 and 2014, the equivalent of adding a city the size of Manchester to the population. So, white people own 90% of our country's wealth. Get out of our country. Thank you. Thank you, my love. I was about to scold you. Thank you. Or is my maths wrong? Why is my country's main company a British company? Exactly. Our largest mining company is Anglo-American. This was cloaked in conversations about the strain immigrants put on the NHS, but I've heard this discussion before. In the US, the phrase anchor baby is used in the pejorative sense to admonish US-born citizens, children of US-born children of immigrants. It suggests takeover. Had a fellow Tico tell me that Ticos are two corrupt companies. Like, my dude, really? Like, what? Good Lord. Britain is not innocent of this kind of punitive talk. In 2016, one hospital began considering passport checks for non-emergency patients, including pregnant women, before they received treatment. In more campaign literature before the referendum, posters from UKIP read, "We want our country back, vote leave." Our country. It's rich coming from the people who invaded 85% of the world and took control of its resources. That is so rich, saying that these people come in and refuse to speak English. Less than 2% of white South Africans speak a local language, and they have been here since the 1600s. It is fucking ridiculous. So if any Brits are watching, go outside and slap your local Conservative today. The last time I heard the slogan, "We want our country back," was in my university town, when far-right group, the English Defence League, was staging a protest about what they called the Islamification of Britain. Yeah. Front and back of the hand. Now another form of the phrase, "taking our country back," is used as a strapline by Britain First. An Ipsos Mori poll published days before the referendum vote confirmed that immigration was the top issue for would-be Leave voters. What was once fringe is now mainstream. This is nothing new. For a long time now, far-right political groups have hijacked the anti-colonial struggles of native people in the Americas and Australia to create a story of embattled indigenous white British people under siege from immigration. Because they steal everything. The Britons steal fucking everything. I recently read that if the UK had to return and pay damages and restitution on everything they stole from India, Britain would be in debt for the next 900 years. And that's just India. Around the same time the English Defence League were marching through my university town, a group of my friends crowded into my student bedroom to watch former British National Party leader Nick Griffin on BBC Question Time. I watched in disbelief as he said, "No one here would dare to go to New Zealand and say to a Maori, 'What do you mean indigenous?' You wouldn't dare go to North America to say to an American Red Indian, ugh, in this day and age using Red Indian. Really? What do you mean indigenous? We're all the same." Puke. Fucking puke. He continued, "The indigenous people of these islands, the English, the Scots, Irish, Welsh, it's people who have been here overwhelmingly for the past 17,000 years. We are the Aboriginals here. The simple fact is that the majority of the British people are descended from people who've lived here since time immemorial. It's extraordinarily racist, genuinely racist, when you seek to deny the English." Is this really what he said? you people, the you people again. Oh, hi, Olive. Um, wouldn't even let us have our name on the census form. That is racism, and that is why people are voting British National Party. Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful how they cry victim, and then they say that these very, very things that they are trying to use against us are invalid because they come from us. It seemed to be that for Nick Griffin, accommodating difference was akin to erasing white Britishness. The comfort of privilege, white privilege, blinds him to the fact that he is part of the majority that already is catered for. In his question time monologue, he appealed to the British sense of fairness to conjure images of an embattled white minority under attack. Notice, doesn't it remind you of the white genocide? The whole idea that whiteness is being erased from South Africa. Let it be erased, by the way. Just white people, get out of this country. Leave. Losing control of heritage and culture. Even more insultingly, he used the struggles of black and brown people who were colonized, raped, and beaten by white British people to preserve British culture. Using that language, it's an affront. It is an affront to my ancestors. It is an affront to every black and brown person who has fought against British occupation. It is an affront to every single one of us who has had to grow up so divorced from our cultures and our languages and our religions and our practices that my first fucking language is English. So to Nick Griffin, go step on a D4, and I hope every time you are about to orgasm, it's ruined by the cat staring at you in the face. It's to a point where Spanish feels like an American language to many of us. Yeah, but also how Spanish is spoken by certain people is devalued as a third world language unless it's spoken by Spanish people from Spain who are white. Because of British defamation laws, you can get into hot water if you publish something that harshly criticizes someone without giving them the right to reply in the same piece of work. I think that a book detailing British racism would be remiss to overlook the vast influence Griffin and the British National Party have had in how we talk about race today. So I found myself in the position of trying to get in contact with Nick Griffin, a man who throughout my lifetime has openly attacked the idea of people like me being truly British, and who represented a party that held policies stating that my mixed race family is an abomination. Having been in the same position a few years before me, an editor I worked with gave me his address. I wrote Mr. Griffin a letter. He replied the next day agreeing to speak with me. I suggested meeting at my publisher's office. He declined, saying he hardly ever goes to London, as it is largely a foreign country. Dominican accent was too ghetto? How? Jesus. We agreed to speak on the phone the next day. I was worried throughout this whole process, but I chose to use my own mobile number to call him in an effort to be as open and honest as possible. I needed the interview after all, and acting suspicious or withholding information wasn't going to help with that. But I'd handed over my personal phone number to one of the most infamous British far-right leaders in the past 50 years. If he so wished, he could make my life a living hell with a few keystrokes. He could choose to post my number online. I knew it was something he'd done before, posting the address of a gay couple back in 2012. My only security was that we both had something over each other. I also had his number and email address, so I took the risk. Our conversation was so surreal that I published it here in full. Back in 2009, you said something along the lines that white British people are an ethnic minority in Britain. Do you still think that? He says, not are, will become. Why do you think that white people will become an ethnic minority in Britain then? It's simply a demographic fact. If you want to go and look, I'd look at Professor Coleman from Oxford. He's probably Britain's leading demographer. Using government figures, not mine, he said some years ago that we'd be a minority in our own country by the end of the century at the latest. That was present trends, but of course present trends have got worse. So there's simply no doubt about it. Not just Britain, but the whole of Western Europe. Note he says Western Europe, because he only cares about white people. But currently in Britain, 81.9% of the population is white British. Do you not think that's a bit far-fetched? No, that's how demographics work. The British population is large compared to others. You're right. Note he said British population to mean white. What are you doing, cat? But if you look at the age differences between the populations, the British population is significantly made up of two waves of baby boomers who over the next 20 years are going to die at an incredible rate. Ethnocentricist, yes. It's going to go up, whereas the age profile of a number of immigrant populations is much younger. Therefore, they'll have more children. You're not arguing with me. You need to go and argue with Professor Coleman. He is the leading demographer of the world, and you and I aren't. But what he says is true. There's really no doubt about it. Why do you think that his projections are bad news, then? I regard that as a racist question, because no white person would dare go to say Nigeria. If Nigeria was being flooded with Chinese people and say, and say, why do you think that it's a bad idea that Nigeria should cease to be Nigeria? It's self-evident that all peoples of the world would have a right to remain the dominant people, culturally and ethnically, in their own homeland. The irony is completely... I had this thought in Maddie's live yesterday. And if any of you were in Maddie's live last night, I think you'd agree with me. Why is it that white supremacists are always so loud and so wrong? I said it in my server last night when I was ranting about it, that I am so tired of white people who are not just loud and wrong, but think that they know history. But all they have done throughout their lives is deep throat on the boot of propaganda. Exactly, Yemaya. Being so xenophobic while being the biggest colonizer throughout all of history. And just the way he uses words, the fact that he used the term Indians to describe indigenous people of the Americas, the fact that he uses Chinese instead of Chinese people, the fact that he just doesn't see anybody but white people as people, and he doesn't see anybody but white people as British. And to use the color red, yes, exactly, Jaguar. Does he not know that his people were responsible for at least 12 genocides and eradication of entire peoples. But of course, they are not people to him. Only white people are. Anyone who says otherwise, just because we happen to be Europeans, is a racist. I see, so I'm racist then. No, I'm not saying you're a racist. Oh, of course. I'm saying that with that point of view, if you're happy to have fewer rights than Nigerians, then you are racist. If you'd absolutely be happy for Nigerians to become Chinese, then you are not racist. You're just mad. Huh? This was many years ago, so please do clarify for me. But is it true that the BNP had a policy or some sort of statement on the website saying no to a mixed-race relationship? Yes. Is that an idea you share? I think that's unfortunate when people are wiped out by a vast amount of racial integration. Muhammad Ali said the exact same thing. Imagine quoting a Muslim black man to be anti-black and anti-Islamic. I think it's either nature or God that made people separate, unique, and wonderful, all of them. It's a shame if we are simply obliterated into one distinguishable mass all over the world. A pity. Having said which, it's not for any state to determine who falls in love with who. No. What Muhammad Ali said was nature or God made people separate, unique, and wonderful. As in separate, as in not homogeneous. Wow. So do you think that white British population is under attack from immigration and mixed-race relationships? I think the identity of all peoples of Europe is under threat from mass immigration, integration, and mixed-race relationships, which aren't in fact happening because it's a natural thing, but because they're constantly promoted by every element of the mass media as a good thing. It's deliberate policy, and it's clear. If you go back to Coudenhove Kalergi, the man who founded the European Union, he was openly saying in 1926 that the idea was to obliterate the nations of Europe in constitutional terms, but also the people who made them, through mass immigration and assimilation. Socially engineered assimilation, that's what's happening. We are under attack, not by immigrants, but by an elite who want to use immigration to obliterate the nations of Europe. You don't. Europe is pretty. Europe is very pretty. I'm going to say that having been to quite a few countries there. Hi, Shells. It is. Some places are absolutely gorgeous. To see the northern lights on the border of Norway and Finland was phenomenal. Just the rolling hills on the outskirts of Vienna. Beautiful. To see the history etched in all of the buildings, the historical buildings, thank you so much. The historical buildings throughout Berlin and Dresden. Stunning. The people are awful. The languages sound like everybody has a potato down their throat. And they do not appreciate anything that they have at the expense of the global south. So fuck Europe. Yeah, God, that's going to happen all over Europe. Wherever you go. You are brown-skinned. You are going to be hated. Because Europe is a racist place. Sweden is one of the most racist places I've ever visited. And I stayed in Cape Town. I'm pretty sure it was the British government policy, particularly in the post-war period, to actually bring over people from the Commonwealth for labour reasons. Don't you think it's disingenuous to suggest that these people who sometimes have been asked and been ruled by Britain, that they come over to get their piece of pie? Why is that unfair? It's wrong because of the effect it has on Britain. Oh yeah, y'all didn't care about the effect that your presence had anywhere else in the world. Britain first, right? Just like Hitler said, Germany first. Same thing. I'm not blaming the immigrants. You're quite right. The government supports them. If senior civil servants have encouraged people, it's the people who control the mass media, corporations, businesses that want cheap labor to undermine the power of organized union labor. They are the people to blame, not the immigrants themselves. So why do you pinpoint mass media when a lot of our media in Britain is owned by a few people? You're right there. But we have a lot of tabloid media that is quite explicitly anti-immigration. We do indeed. It's explicitly anti-immigration, but generally happily goes along with the genocidal implications of mass immigration. They call mass immigration genocidal when they are literally funding a fucking genocide. When they have just resumed arms trade with the most genocidal country in recent history. When they have a hand in the pie of the Sudanese genocide. When they have a huge hand in the US basically engineered trafficking of Congolese women and girls. He calls mass immigration genocidal. Thank you to Kimberly Latrice Jones for this. They are lucky that we want equality and not revenge. It's certainly not a nationalist media. In terms of the media that really influences how people think and what they do, there's no comparison between print and what people see. It's the power of Hollywood films, television news, particularly soap operas. These are things which are particularly effective at changing how people view the world and what they do. A newspaper, however, reports the news. It's in print. It doesn't have anything like the power of broadcast. It's the fact that broadcast, run by a tiny handful of people, directed by a small interest group that all want the same thing, the ones who really have the effect. Forget the Daily Mail. It's the soap operas that decide how people work in their heads. Yep. When you say they all want the same thing, it's because you think that's what they want. Because I work in the media and it's white. British journalism is something like 96% white. Newsrooms and places are not considered particularly multicultural. No, they're not. They're part of the hypocrisy of the liberal elite. Isn't this exactly like every single argument you've heard from a right-winger on any panel that you can pick right now? Doesn't it feel the same? Doesn't it sound the same? They want the ordinary working class to enjoy the tremendous diversity and benefits of mass immigration that goes with it, but they don't want it for themselves, do they? They don't want it for their kids. The Rupert Murdochs of this world want power, wealth. They don't want anyone to challenge it. The whole corporates, the 1% around the world, which, by the way, he's completely in support of in terms of his other policies, are well aware that they're looting public services and resources. It used to be that colonialism was looting done by the West. The looting is now the corporations of all of us, and they're well aware that sooner or later, any sovereign, any European people that still has its identity intact, they can They can say we've had enough of the looting, we'll take it all back. So the only way to make sure the looting is permanent is to get rid of the peoples who would otherwise say we're having a revolution. What? This man is a trash can. Nick Griffin, you are a trash can. You're a trash can who can speak. Do you think that Britain accommodating people from different races and cultures, is akin to erasing white Britishness? In small numbers, no, but that's the aim and inevitable result of large numbers, yes. Oh yeah, he is a dumpster fire. My parents are from a former Commonwealth country, and I've got a British passport, born and raised. When you say these things, you may pinpoint the elite as spreading an agenda and whatnot, but does it tend to make someone like me feel unwelcome? There are many, many second-generation immigrants who feel very British. He says, you're quite young. I would recommend that you get the hell out of this country and go have kids somewhere decent. Probably somewhere connected with your own heritage, because Britain is, to be crude, utterly fucked. Nick Griffin is an extreme example, but here he voices the same fears that are evident at the low-level grumblings and resentments of British people who are resistant to change. They spend their time yearning for a nostalgic Britain that never was. Fear of a Black Planet maintains that people of colour are unfairly vying for precarious, precious, rationed and scarce resources, and that having more people of colour in these positions of power might instigate a drastic tipping of scales. To some, every time a new curry house opens, every Polski Sklep that opens, every time Sainsbury expands its ethnic food aisle, it's a symbol that white Brits are sleepwalking into new minority status. Thank you, my love.
You...
What?
I think you tried to get into that drawer again.
Oh, that's the noise that was happening there. Is he a silly goose?
I don't know, but there's a mess. I'm not dealing with it.
I'll deal with it just now.
No, don't worry.
I love you. You're handsome. Some start boycotting halal meat on cruelty grounds, as though there are varying degrees of acceptable animal death that they'll withstand for the benefit of eating their burgers. Fear of a black planet is fear of loss. Loss of privilege. A loss of their unearned hand up. And that's where I'm going to stop for today. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And to Twitch and YouTube, welcome back. I shall see y'all tomorrow, same time, different book. And yeah, remember to drink water, eat something, take your meds. Remember to smash the motherfucking patriarchy, eat all the white men, and if you see Nick Griffin on the streets, please punch him with a knuckle duster. Yeah, remember to be kind to yourselves, because everybody deserves kindness, including you. I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little while I pollute my lungs, so I shall maybe see you there. Yeah. See you there. Maybe.